Yeah, I was thinking of a word today, and it's a word so many people use that creates more failure, more disappointment, more negative thoughts, more just horseshit life as a whole, I guess. Can you think of what that word is? What word cripples people more than almost any other word in the English language? Think about it. I'm going to tell you what it is. Procrastination. Think about that word. How can you procrastinate on something and be a pro? You can't. Think of the first part of that word. It says pro. You cannot be a pro at anything if you procrastinate. You cannot promote anybody. You cannot have top performances if you procrastinate. You cannot produce. Think about that. Procrastination is a word that destroys more people than almost any other word in the English language. How are you going to move ahead if you continue to put off today what you should be doing? If I told you you show up to work every day on time for 30 days, I will give you a raise. I will give you a big raise. I bet you're going to show up every day on time. And here's why. Because that suddenly became important to you. Before I promised you a big raise, showing up on time wasn't important. And you say, well, I'm a procrastinator. I don't get up on time. I'm a procrastinator. I don't believe in that word. I don't believe in the word procrastinate. Why? Because all that word means is that part of your life isn't important enough to you to do. I bet you if you wrote down 5 things, and do it right now. Do it right now while you're listening to this. Write down 5 things that you find yourself putting off every week. And I'm going to tell you why you're putting them off. Because you're not finding them important enough to do. If I told you to show up down at Lake Superior at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm going to give you $1 million, I guarantee you're going to be there. But before that, you say, I can't get up on time. I procrastinate. I just can't do it. No, it's not important enough for you to do. Did you write down those 5 things? Look at them. What are some of those 5 things that you put off every week because they're not important enough to you? Now here's something I'm going to hurt a few of you with. When your spouse, your significant other, your kids ask you to do something and you look at them and say, oh, I didn't have time. Or you make an excuse for not getting it done. And you procrastinate on it. What you're really telling them is they're not important enough to you. I can't get a job. I can't find a job. No. What it's saying is that is not important enough to you. For some reason, that isn't an important part of your life. Guys, how many times have your wife asked you to fix something and it doesn't get done? You know what you're really telling her? Is you're not important enough to me to do that. Hurts a little bit, doesn't it? Same difference. If you ask your wife to do something and it doesn't get done, I'm too busy, I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to get the laundry done, la 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 la. What she's really telling you is you're not important enough. I bet from today on you think of that word procrastination a little bit different. You cannot be a pro at anything if you procrastinate. Look at all the Super Bowl teams. You think they procrastinated going out and practicing? No, they're pros, so they don't procrastinate. If a farmer doesn't go out and till his fields and plant his seeds and water it and do everything he has to, he does not produce any food. He doesn't procrastinate. Otherwise, he doesn't produce. If you want your boss to give you a raise, and if you want to move up in your business and in your company, and you want to be recognized and get promoted, there's a first part of that word again, pro. You can't procrastinate because it makes no sense. Stop making freaking excuses for not getting stuff done. You're lazy. You're freaking lazy. That's what it is. You're not procrastinating. You're lazy. And you don't care enough about what's supposed to get done to do it. I dare any of you to sit down and watch this video with your kids, with your spouses, heck, maybe even your coworkers or boss. And look them straight in the eye and try to make an excuse for not getting something done around the house, or not getting the job done at work, or not doing that thing with your children that you've promised them weekend after weekend after weekend, and now suddenly you can't do it again. Because obviously they're not important enough to you. Quit frickin' procrastinating. And quit making excuses that life is too tough and life is too busy and I can't do this, I can't do that. Bullshit. You're lazy. Straight up, you're lazy and you don't care enough about what needs to get done to do it. Think about that for today. And when you think about it, get a pen and paper out. Write down all the things that you've been putting off. Write down all the things that you have not kept up and kept your promise to because you made excuses. I dare you and I challenge you for the next 30 days. Write down everything you're going to do and then look at it the next day and see what you've done. And then the stuff you didn't get done, write right next to it. Write it down next to it saying, this wasn't important enough for me to do. Man, I really hope that's not something your wife or your husband asked you to do. I really hope that's not something your children asked you to do or your parents asked you to do. And you have to write down next to that thing that they weren't important enough for you to do it? What kind of lame-ass person are you? Well, you could look your spouse or your children or your parents in the eyes and say, they weren't important enough. Procrastination is a crap word that people use because they're too damn lazy to do what they're supposed to do. Get out a pen and paper. Write down all the things you need to do today. And if you don't do it, write down next to it, this wasn't important to me. Because if I looked at your list, I don't care if it's 3 things, 5 things, 100 things, whatever the hell it is. I don't care how many it is. But if I told you for every one of those things you accomplished that you wrote down, I'd give you $100. I bet the list would be a little longer. And I bet you'd accomplish everything on that list. I know, I'm hearing this right now. I can just hear it right now. The money's not that important. Money's not everything. You do things because you want to. You do things because, you know, they make you feel good. That's true. But then look at the things you didn't do. How good did that make you feel? How good did that make you feel that you didn't accomplish what you set out to do? And if you say it wasn't important, then don't put it down. If it's not important, why waste your time thinking about it? If it's not important, why waste your day saying you're going to do it? If it's not important, don't waste the space in your head thinking about doing it. Procrastination is a bullshit word. And it's a word for being lazy. If you want to be a pro, be a pro. If you want a promotion, do what you have to do to get a promotion. And if you want to be a top producer, do the work it takes to produce. Quit making excuses. Get off your dead ass and do what you're supposed to do. And write down a list and look at it every day and check it off as you go through the day. And when you lay your head down at night, if you can lay your head down at night knowing you didn't accomplish your list and feel good about it, write down next to it, it wasn't important to me. And again, I sure the heck hope it wasn't for your wife or your husband or your children or your parents, because you have to look them in the eye and say it wasn't important.